The roommate's ruin. Lila, Grayson and Tara Hensley met during freshman orientation at Crestwood University, a mid-sized college nestled in the rolling hills of Pennsylvania. Both were music majors, bonded by their love for indie rock and late-night jam sessions in their cramped dorm room. Lila, a quiet but fiercely determined guitarist, had grown up in a small town, saving every penny from her part-time barista job to chase her dream of owning a Gibson Les Paul Custom in Alpine White, a limited edition beauty with a price tag of $4,500. Tara, on the other hand, was a flashy keyboardist from the suburbs, always chasing clout with her Instagram posts and TikTok covers. Their friendship blossomed over shared playlists and coffee runs, but cracks formed by sophomore year. It started with small betrayals, Tara borrowing Lila's favorite hoodie without asking, eating Lila's labeled leftovers, or hogging their shared amp for her own gigs. Lila let it slide, chalking it up to Tara's self-absorbed nature. But the guitar incident was the breaking point. Lila had been raving about the Les Paul for months, showing Tara pictures and counting down the days until she'd saved enough. She'd even circled the date, March 15, 2025, on their dorm calendar, planning to drive to Sam's Music Emporium, a local shop that had one in stock. Tara nodded along, feigning excitement, but her eyes gleamed with something darker. On March 14, Lila worked a double shift to cover the last $200, texting Tara about her jitters. "Tomorrow's the day," she wrote. Tara replied with a thumbs up emoji and "is so proud of you." Words that would soon taste like poison. The next morning, Lila arrived at the shop, cash in hand, only to find the guitar gone. The clerk, a scruffy guy named Pete, scratched his beard and said, "Yeah, some chick came in at opening, tall, blonde, kinda loud. Paid cash and bolted. Said she'd been eyeing it forever." Lila's stomach dropped. Tara fit that description perfectly. She raced back to the dorm, heart pounding, and checked Tara's Instagram. There it was, a glossy photo of Tara posing with the Les Paul, captioned, "Finally mine. Hard work pays off. Hashtag musician life, hashtag dreams come true." The comments were flooded with praise, but Lila saw red. Tara hadn't worked for it, she'd barely saved a dime, always blowing her money on takeout and cheap jewelry. She'd used Lila's own excitement to pinpoint the exact moment to strike, swooping in with her own stash of cash, likely from her parents. When Lila confronted her, Tara smirked, twirling a strand of hair. "It's just a guitar, Lila. You'll get over it. Besides, I sound better on it." That was the moment Lila decided Tara would pay, not with a screaming match, but with a reckoning. She knew Tara's weakness, her obsession with her online persona. Tara thrived on likes, follows, and the illusion of perfection. Public humiliation would hit her harder than any punch. Lila spent the next 3 months playing the long game, acting like she'd forgiven Tara while secretly building her arsenal. She started small, screenshotting Tara's posts where she lied about gigs she'd never played or awards she'd never won. She recorded late-night rants where Tara trashed their mutual friends. "Jess is such a loser. She'll never make it," and bragged about the guitar theft. Lila didn't deserve it anyway. "She's too mousy to rock a Les Paul." Lila bided her time, waiting for Tara's birthday, April 1, 2025, a date Tara had hyped up with a planned dorm party. The night before, Lila sat at her desk, editing her masterpiece, a 10-minute video titled "The Real Tara Hensley." She narrated it in a calm, almost documentary-style voice, layering in the screenshots, audio clips, and a grainy clip of Tara strumming the Les Paul while laughing about Lila's pathetic savings. She uploaded it anonymously to Crestwood's notorious gossip page, Crestwood Confessions, tagging Tara's handle and setting it to go live at midnight. The party was in full swing when the post dropped. Lila watched from the corner as Tara's phone buzzed, then buzzed again. Friends whispered, eyes darting to Tara, who grabbed her phone with a confused grin. The grin faded as she scrolled. The video spread like wildfire, 200 views in 10 minutes, then 500, then 1,000. Comments poured in, "Wow, what a snake, poor Lila, Tara's done." Tara's face turned beet red as she stammered, "This is fake. Someone hacked me." But the evidence was airtight, and her friends peeled away, leaving her alone with her cake and a half-played Les Paul riff. The fallout didn't stop there. Lila took it a step further, filing a formal complaint with the university's student conduct office. She claimed Tara had used her identity to buy the guitar, a stretch, but she'd kept the receipt from her savings withdrawals as proof of intent. Tara's reputation was already in tatters, so the board didn't dig too deep. She got a disciplinary hearing, lost her music scholarship, and had to sell the guitar to cover rent. Meanwhile, Pete at Sam's Music Emporium, hearing the story through the grapevine, offered Lila a discounted Fender Stratocaster. She strummed it triumphantly, knowing Tara's dream had become her nightmare. Holy crap! Lila turned revenge into an art form! That video was a slow-motion car crash. Tara couldn't look away, and neither could I. The way Lila waited for the birthday party to drop the bomb? Diabolical. And snagging a Stratocaster out of it? She's living the rockstar life while Tara's stuck in the dirt. Stealing a dream guitar is messed up, but flexing it online was Tara's fatal mistake. Lila's patience was the real MVP here. 10 out of 10, no notes. Story 2, The Cheater's Checkmate. Sarah Bennett was 27, a meticulous HR specialist at Pinnacle Solutions, a mid-tier consulting firm in Denver. She'd been dating Mark Torres, a 29-year-old sales rep at a tech startup, for 2 years. They met at a mutual friend's barbecue, Mark with his easy charm and Sarah with her dry wit, and quickly fell into a comfortable rhythm. They shared a one-bedroom apartment, splitting rent and dreaming of a future with a dog and a house in the suburbs. But by early 2025, Sarah sensed a shift. Mark's late nights at the office stretched longer, his phone stayed face down, and his excuses, client dinners, babe, you know how it is, felt rehearsed. Her suspicions peaked in February when she found a receipt for a $75 dinner at La Bella Vita, a swanky Italian place Mark claimed he'd never take clients to, too pricey for work. She didn't confront him yet. Sarah was a planner, not a reactor. She started digging. First, she checked their shared phone plan online, spotting late-night calls to a number she didn't recognize. Then she installed a tracker app on his phone. During a rare moment he left it unlocked, syncing it to her laptop. The data painted a grim picture. Mark wasn't at the office, he was at an apartment across town, every Tuesday and Friday night. Sarah cross-referenced the address with LinkedIn and found Jenna Pierce, a 32-year-old senior account manager at Mark's company. Jenna's profile oozed ambition, climbing the ladder, one deal at a time. Sarah's gut twisted, but she stayed calm. She tailed Mark one night, parking discreetly outside Jenna's building. Through binoculars, she saw them laughing on the balcony, Mark's arm around Jenna's waist. The betrayal stung, but worse was overhearing Mark on a call the next day, pacing their kitchen. Once Jenna gets the promotion, I'm set, new job, new life. Sarah's just a placeholder. A placeholder. That's when Sarah decided to burn his world down. She started with Jenna. As an HR pro, Sarah knew how to weaponize bureaucracy. She created a burner email, jennatruth2025@gmail.com, and sent an anonymous tip to Jenna's boss, attaching blurry photos she'd snapped of Mark and Jenna at a bar, clearly too cozy for coworkers. The email read, "Concerned about unprofessional conduct at your firm. This could hurt your reputation." She CC'd the company's ethics hotline for good measure. Within a week, whispers reached Sarah through industry friends. Jenna's promotion was on hold, and she'd been hauled into a meeting about workplace boundaries. Mark, expecting a cushy gig, was blindsided when Jenna dumped him via text, blaming him for ruining her shot. But Sarah's real target was Mark's pride, his 1969 Ford Mustang, cherry red with a custom exhaust he'd spent $15,000 restoring. He called it his baby, waxing it every Sunday and bragging about it non-stop. Sarah had a spare key from when they'd shared car duties, stashed in a drawer he'd never bothered to check. She waited until Mark left for a weekend work trip, likely with Jenna before the breakup, then struck. She drove the Mustang to a shady chop shop on the edge of town, a place she found through a coworker's shady cousin. The guy, a greasy mechanic named Rico, offered $2,000 cash, no questions asked. Sarah took it, knowing Mark would never trace it. The car would be parts by morning. She didn't stop there. Sarah donated the $2,000 to a local women's shelter, requesting a public thank you post. "Big thanks to Mark Torres for his generous $2,000 donation to support our cause." She tagged him on Facebook, where his friends and family saw it. When Mark returned, he found his parking spot empty and his phone blowing up with "Wow, dude, you're so generous" texts. He called Sarah, screaming about the car, but she played dumb. "I thought you sold it for charity, check the post." The shelter had no record of her, only the cash drop-off, leaving Mark with no proof and a saintly reputation he couldn't admit was a lie. He lost his car, his fling, and his cool, while Sarah moved out, free and untouchable. Sarah is a freaking genius. That double whammy, tanking Jenna's career and then the Mustang disappearing act, was pure gold. The charity twist was diabolical. Mark couldn't even complain without looking like a jerk. I'm cackling imagining him trying to explain it to his buddies. He thought he was slick, but Sarah played him like a fiddle. This is revenge with style, bravo! Story 3, The Boss's Backfire. Evan Carter was 24, a junior graphic designer at Horizon Marketing, a small firm in Austin, Texas. He'd landed the gig fresh out of college, thrilled to flex his skills on real campaigns. But his boss, Greg Landau, a 40-something ex-frat bro with a permanent smirk, made it hell. Greg was the type to bark orders, steal credit, and motivate with insults. Evan's first week, Greg tossed his portfolio sketches into a trash can during a team meeting, laughing, "This is where amateur crap belongs, step it up, kid." The team chuckled nervously, and Evan swallowed his pride, vowing to prove himself. For a year, Evan churned out designs, logos, ads, pitch decks only for Greg to slap his name on them. The breaking point came in March 2025. Evan had spent weeks on a campaign for Greenwave, a renewable energy startup, a sleek logo, bold visuals, and a tagline, "Power the Future," he'd brainstormed in a late-night epiphany. He presented it to Greg, who grunted, "Not bad," and sent him back to grunt work. 2 days later, Evan overheard Greg pitching it to Greenwave's CEO on a Zoom call, claiming, "I've been refining this vision for months." The client loved it, and Greg pocketed a $5,000 bonus, while Evan got a pat on the back and a "keep up the good work." Evan was done. He'd been documenting Greg's nonsense for months, emails where Greg demanded more ideas without credit, meeting notes where he contradicted himself, and secret recordings from his phone's voice memo app. Greg's office rants were gold. "I don't care who made it, as long as I get paid," he'd sneered once, mid-tirade. Evan compiled it all, but he needed leverage. He researched Greenwave's execs, finding their COO, Priya Patel, was a stickler for integrity after a past scandal at her old firm. Evan crafted a dossier, timestamps of his original files, dated weeks before Greg's pitch, email threads proving he'd submitted them, and audio clips of Greg's arrogance. He used a VPN and a burner email, truth4greenwave@proton.me, to send it to Priya, posing as a concerned industry insider. He wrote, "Horizon's pitch was stolen from a junior designer. Here's proof. Your company deserves better." To muddy the waters, he leaked snippets to a rival firm, Apex Creative, framing it as gossip from a disgruntled ex-employee. Priya acted fast. Greenwave pulled out, citing ethical misalignment, and Apex swooped in, landing the contract with a suspiciously similar pitch. Evan didn't care, he just wanted Greg to lose. Horizon's higher-ups launched a review, and Greg's bonus evaporated. He was demoted to a desk job, his ego shredded as whispers of plagiarism followed him. Evan quit a week later, leaving a parting gift on Greg's desk, a framed photo of his trash portfolio, captioned, "Thanks for the inspiration, boss." Word spread, and Apex offered Evan a senior designer role, impressed by his leaked talent. Greg's career stalled, while Evan soared. Evan's revenge was a slow-cooked masterpiece. That dossier was like a legal brief. Greg never stood a chance. The framed photo was the ultimate flex, rubbing salt in the wound. I love how he turned Greg's own laziness against him. Stealing credit is risky when your underling's a secret ninja. Evan's new gig is the cherry on top. Greg's lucky he's still got a job after that smackdown. Story 4, The Neighbor's Nightmare. Claire Nguyen lived in a cozy apartment complex in Portland, Oregon, a haven of quiet streets and quirky neighbors. At 31, she worked remotely as a freelance illustrator, cherishing her peaceful balcony where she sketched under string lights. That piece shattered in January 2025 when Dan Carver moved into 3B, the unit next door. Dan was a 35-year-old car salesman with a booming voice and a devil-may-care attitude. His first night, he blasted heavy metal until 2 a.m., rattling Claire's walls. She knocked politely, asking him to turn it down. He grinned, beer in hand, and said, "Relax, princess, it's just music." It didn't stop there. Cigarette smoke wafted from his balcony despite her asthma, and his pit bull, Brutus, left steaming piles in the courtyard daily, which Dan ignored. Claire tried reasoning with him. "The smoke triggers my asthma," she explained one day, holding up her inhaler. Dan shrugged, exhaling a cloud in her face. "Buy an air purifier, princess." She reported him to their landlord, Mr. Henshaw, a laid-back retiree who sighed, "I'll talk to him," but did nothing. Fed up, Claire decided Dan's reign of terror was over. She'd make him regret crossing her. She started with his job. Dan bragged about his top salesman status at Carver Auto, a used car lot downtown. Claire scoured his social media, finding posts like, "Another sucker sold a clunker, cha-ching." She created fake Yelp accounts, Jane D., My Car, etc., and posted detailed reviews. "Dan Carver pressured me into a lemon that died in a week, rude and dishonest, avoid this guy." She spaced them out, using VPNs to mask her location, and even faked a story about Dan forging a contract. Over 2 months, his dealership's rating dropped from 4.2 to 2.8 stars. Customers complained, and Dan's sales plummeted. He ranted about it on his balcony, oblivious to Claire listening. Next, she tackled the noise. Claire bought a $20 Bluetooth speaker and hid it in a potted plant outside Dan's window. She programmed it to play faint, eerie whispers, random phrases like "You're not alone" or "Why did you do it?" at odd hours. Dan started pacing at night, muttering about ghosts. He complained to Henshaw, who rolled his eyes, but tenants whispered about crazy Dan. Sleep-deprived and paranoid, he turned his music down, fearing something watching him. The knockout punch was Brutus. Claire photographed every pile the dog left, timestamping them with her phone. She filed a complaint with Portland's code enforcement, citing health violations and attaching a dozen pics. The city fined Dan $500, ordered a cleanup costing $300 more, and warned him of eviction if it continued. Henshaw, tired of the drama, gave Dan a 30-day notice for lease violations, noise, smoking, and pet neglect. On moving day, Claire sipped chamomile tea on her balcony, watching Dan load his truck, Brutus whining in the cab. Peace returned, and she sketched in bliss.
"Claire is a stealth ninja." Those fake reviews were a slow bleed. Dan didn't even see it coming. The whisper speaker? That's some horror movie brilliance. I'd be freaked out too. And the dog poop find sealed the deal. She turned his chaos into her victory without breaking a sweat. Dan called her princess, but she's the queen of this story. Long live Claire.
Story 5, The Ex's Exit. Jess Harper and Ryan Voss met at a gaming convention in Seattle in 2022. Jess, 26, was a software tester with a knack for strategy games. Ryan, 28, was a freelance coder with a loud laugh and a competitive streak. They bonded over Overwatch marathons, moving in together after a year. Jess's pride was her custom gaming PC, liquid-cooled, RGB lit, with a $3,000 price tag she'd built herself. Ryan loved it too, often hogging it for his streams. Their relationship was solid until late 2024, when Ryan grew distant, claiming work stress. In January 2025, he dumped her over coffee, saying, "I reconnected with Mia, my high school sweetheart. It's fate." He kept the PC, arguing, "I used it more anyway." Jess was gutted until she learned the truth. A friend, Kyle, spilled that Ryan had been cheating with Mia for 6 months, meeting at her place while Jess worked late. Mia, a 27-year-old barista with a smug Instagram vibe, had egged Ryan on, texting him, "Jess is boring, ditch her already." Worse, they'd mocked Jess behind her back, calling her the nerdy doormat. Ryan even bragged about keeping the PC as a bonus. Jess's grief turned to fury. She'd make them regret it. She still had remote access to the PC via a shared admin account Ryan never changed. One night, she logged in from her laptop, finding Ryan's Steam library, hundreds of hours in Elden Ring, Destiny 2, and Apex Legends. She wiped every save file, grinning as his progress vanished. Then she uploaded a script she'd coded. Every boot up triggered random audio clips, Ryan's off-key karaoke from a drunken party, his whiny rants about lag, even a clip of him farting loudly during a stream. She locked the volume at max, ensuring Mia's apartment would echo with his shame. For fun, she posted the PC's IP on a shady hacking forum, titling it, "Test this rig for me." Within hours, trolls flooded it with pop-ups and malware, frying the system. But Jess wanted Mia to squirm too. Ryan and Mia flaunted their soulmate status online, posting lovey-dovey pics. Jess dug into Mia's past, finding an old WordPress blog, Mia's Musings, from 2015. It was a goldmine, angsty poems like Ryan v. "You broke my heart, you jerk," and rants calling him a loser who'll never leave this dump. Jess archived it all, then sent a link to their friend group via a burner email, adding, "Thought you'd enjoy some nostalgia." The group chat exploded. Kyle screenshotted the best bits, texting Ryan, "Dude, she hated you back then." Mia tried to delete it, but screenshots spread, and their perfect couple image crumbled. Ryan blamed Mia, Mia blamed Ryan, and they split amid the chaos. Jess, now PC-less but liberated, upgraded to a new rig with her next paycheck, gaming in peace.
Jess is a tech wizard avenger. Wiping those saves was brutal. Ryan's gamer soul must have died right there. The audio prank had me howling. Imagine Mia's face when Fartgate blasted out. And that blog takedown? Poetry in motion. They thought Jess was a doormat, but she turned their love story into a punchline. New PC, new life, Jess wins forever. The siblings sabotage. Nate Sullivan and his older sister, Brooke, grew up in a modest split-level house in Boise, Idaho.
Nate, now 29, was the quieter sibling, a mechanic with a knack for fixing anything with an engine. Brooke, 32, was the golden child turned real estate agent, always chasing the spotlight with her loud laugh and sharper tongue. Their parents doted on Brooke, leaving Nate to fend for himself, a dynamic that festered into adulthood. The breaking point came in February 2025, when their grandmother, Nana Jean, passed away, leaving behind a small inheritance, $20,000 and her cherished 1972 Chevy Nova, a mint green classic Nate had spent his teens helping her maintain.
Nate adored that car. Every oil change, every polish, was a memory with Nana. Brooke, though, saw dollar signs. At the will reading, she leaned across the lawyer's desk, batting her lashes, and said, "Nana always meant for me to have the car, she knew I'd appreciate it." It was a lie. Nana had told Nate privately, "The Nova's yours, kiddo, you've got her soul." But their parents, swayed by Brooke's charm, pressured Nate to be fair. Against his gut, he agreed to split the cash and let Brooke take the car, thinking she'd honor their bond. She didn't. 2 weeks later, he saw it listed on her real estate Instagram, "For sale, vintage Chevy Nova, $25,000 OBO. DM me." The caption stung worse, finally cashing in on family perks. Nate's fury simmered. Brooke had always taken his toys as kids, his spotlight, now his legacy. He'd make her regret it. He knew her weakness, her real estate hustle depended on her squeaky clean image. Clients loved her trustworthy vibe, fake smiles and staged open houses. Nate started small, digging into her online footprint. She'd been cutting corners for years, inflating property values, fudging inspection reports, even pocketing escrow deposits. He found proof in old emails she'd carelessly sent him years ago, asking for quick fixes on her car while bragging about her schemes. He spent weeks building a case. Using a burner phone, he recorded her at a family dinner, goading her into boasting, "Clients are suckers, they'll pay anything if you sell the dream." He paired it with screenshots of her shady listings, like a fully renovated house with a leaking roof he'd seen her flip. Then he struck. Brooke was hosting a big open house on April 10, 2025, for a $500,000 property, live streaming it to her 10,000 followers. Nate created an anonymous Twitter account at Boise Truth and posted a thread, "Brooke Sullivan's real estate scams exposed." He attached the emails, audio, and photos of the Nova sale, tagging her clients and the local realtor board. The open house was a disaster. Mid-tour, her phone buzzed nonstop, clients canceled showings, followers unfollowed, and a rival agent crashed the stream, shouting, "Is this true, Brooke?"
She stammered, face flushed, as the crowd thinned.
The board launched an ethics probe, and her license was suspended pending review. The Nova?
Nate tipped off a car enthusiast friend, who bought it from Brooke's buyer for cheap, then sold it back to Nate at cost. Brooke lost her career traction, her reputation, and the car's profits, while Nate cruised the Nova through Boise, windows down, Nana's spirit riding shotgun.
Nate's revenge was a family feud for the ages. That Twitter thread was like dropping a nuke. Brooke's perfect little empire crumbled in real time. I love how he got the Nova back, too, like, talk about poetic justice. She thought she could steamroll him again, but Nate flipped the script. The dinner recording was the MVP move, caught her red-handed. Brooke's greed bit her hard, and I'm here for it. The Friends fiasco. Maya Patel and Lauren Decker met in a yoga class in Raleigh, North Carolina, in 2023.
Maya, 28, was a freelance photographer with a warm smile and a knack for capturing candid beauty. Lauren, 30, was a boutique owner, all sharp edges and sharper ambition. They hit it off over post-class smoothies, bonding as creative souls in a sea of corporate drones. Maya trusted Lauren implicitly, even hiring her to style a big wedding shoot in March 2025, a $5,000 gig that could have launched her career. She shared every detail, the venue, the couple's vibe, her mood boards.
Lauren nodded, promising to nail the aesthetic.
2 days before the shoot, Lauren called, voice shaky.
I'm sick, Maya, strep throat. I can't make it.
Maya scrambled, styling it herself, but the photos still dazzled. The couple raved, and a local magazine featured her work.
She texted Lauren the good news, expecting a cheer. Instead, Lauren's reply was curt, cool.
A week later, Maya's jaw dropped at an Instagram post from Lauren's boutique account, thrilled to announce my new photography side hustle.
Book me for your next event. The portfolio pics? Exact copies of Maya's wedding shots, down to the angles and filters.
Lauren had stolen her work, faked the illness, and pitched herself to Maya's clients, undercutting her rates.
Maya's blood boiled.
Lauren had betrayed her trust and her art.
She'd ruin her. Lauren's boutique, Decker Threads, thrived on her ethical small business rep, handmade goods, fair wages, all that jazz.
Maya knew it was a front. Lauren had once bragged about buying cheap overseas stock and relabeling it local. Maya dug deeper, finding invoices on a shared Google Drive from a past collab, proof Lauren imported bulk scarves from a sketchy supplier for pennies. She also recorded Lauren at a coffee meetup, arranged under the guise of clearing the air, where Lauren sneered, "Photography's easy, your clients won't care who took the pics." Maya struck on April 20, 2025, during Lauren's big spring sale. She posted an exposé on Raleigh's small business Facebook group from a fake account, Concerned Shopper, with the invoices, audio, and side-by-side comparisons of the stolen photos.
Decker Threads, fraud alert, it read.
The post blew up, customers boycotted, local makers blacklisted Lauren, and her sale flopped, leaving racks of unsold stock. Maya tipped off the wedding couple, who threatened legal action for copyright theft, forcing Lauren to scrub the pics and refund bookings. The boutique limped along, but Lauren's creative dreams tanked. Maya, meanwhile, landed a gallery show off her wedding buzz, her lens sharper than ever.
Maya's revenge was a shutter-speed masterpiece. That exposé hit Lauren like a freight train. Watching her sale crash and burn must have been glorious. Stealing photos is low, but faking sick to do it? That's next-level slime. The audio was the kill shot, Lauren digging her own grave, one smug word at a time. Maya turned betrayal into a comeback, iconic. Derek Hayes, 34, was a warehouse supervisor at Apex Logistics in Columbus, Ohio.
He'd climbed the ranks over a decade, earning respect for his steady hands and sharp memory. In January 2025, a new hire, Chad Brenner, joined the team. Chad, 26, was a fast-talking former frat star with a knack for schmoozing the higher-ups.
Derek trained him patiently, showing him the inventory system, forklift tricks, and safety protocols.
Chad repaid him by slacking off, scrolling TikTok on shifts, botching orders, then blaming Derek to their boss, Mr. Vaughn.
"Derek didn't tell me the pallet was fragile," he'd say, smirking as Derek took the heat. It escalated in March.
Derek had pitched a streamlined loading process, cutting delivery times by 15%. He spent weeks testing it, presenting it to Vaughn with data and flowcharts. Vaughn loved it, promising a raise. 2 days later, Chad strutted into a staff meeting, slideshow ready, and pitched the exact plan word for word as his own. Vaughn clapped him on the back, saying, "Great initiative, Chad." Derek's raise went to Chad, along with a rising star shoutout in the company newsletter. Chad winked at Derek across the break room, mouthing, "Thanks, man." Derek seethed. Chad's laziness was one thing, stealing his work was war. He knew Chad's Achilles heel, his ego. Chad bragged about his perfect record and flirted with promotion rumors. Derek started documenting photos of Chad napping on crates, time logs of his phone breaks, even a video of him tossing a fragile box like a basketball. He'd overheard Chad boasting to a coworker, "I don't need to work hard, Vaughn eats out of my hand." Derek saved it all, waiting for the right moment. April 15th was Apex's quarterly review with corporate brass visiting. Chad was set to demo his loading plan live. Derek used a burner email, whistleblower99@outlook.com, to send his evidence to Vaughn and HR, titled Chad Brenner, The Real Story. He attached the pics, video, and a timeline proving the plan was his, leaked just hours before the demo. As Chad strutted out, forklift rumbling, Vaughn's phone pinged. His face darkened mid-presentation. "Chad, step aside," he barked, pulling up the email on a projector. The room went silent as Chad's nap pics flashed, followed by his "Vaughn eats out of my hand" clip. Corporate reps frowned, whispering. Chad stammered, "That's fake," but the timestamps didn't lie. Chad's demo flopped, he fumbled the forklift, crashing a pallet in his panic. He was fired on the spot, escorted out as workers snickered. Derek got his raise, a quiet apology from Vaughn, and a new title, Operations Lead. Chad's LinkedIn stayed dormant, his rising star crashed and burned. Derek's takedown was warehouse warfare at its finest. That email drop mid-demo? Cinematic. Chad thought he could coast on charm, but Derek's evidence was a sledgehammer. Those nap pics were brutal. The forklift crash was just karma piling on. Stealing a raise is bold, but stealing from a guy who's got your number? Rookie mistake. Derek's the real boss now, love it. The landlord's lesson. Talia Ortiz, 25, rented a studio apartment in Miami's Little Havana, a vibrant pocket of salsa beats and pastel walls. She'd moved there in 2024 for a nursing job, loving the place despite its quirks, creaky floors, a finicky AC. Her landlord, Victor Morales, 50, was a slick-talking property mogul with a dozen units and a reputation for cutting corners. Talia paid $1,200 a month, on time, every time, but Victor ignored her repair requests. The AC broke in January 2025, leaving her sweltering in 90-degree heat. "I'll fix it next week," he texted, but weeks turned to months. Then the sink clogged, leaking brown water. "Plumbers booked," he lied. She documented it all, texts, photos, even a thermometer hitting 88 degrees Fahrenheit indoors. The final straw came in April. Victor raised her rent to $1,500, citing market rates, despite the unit's state. Talia refused, showing him pics of the mess. He laughed, looming in her doorway. "Pay up or move out, sweetie, your choice." She chose revenge. Victor owned properties citywide, touting luxury living on his website, Morales Realty. Talia knew he dodged permits and skimped on maintenance. Her nurse friend, Carla, had lived in another of his dumps and confirmed it. Talia got crafty. She posted fake Google reviews from burner accounts, renter beware and heat stroke victim, detailing Victor Morales' slums, broken ACs, roach infestations, fake fixes. She matched her pics to his listings, spacing the reviews over weeks. Tenants from other units chimed in, emboldened, his ratings tanked from 4.5 to 2.3 stars. Next, she filed complaints with Miami's code enforcement, attaching her evidence and Carla's old pics of mold in Victor's Hialeah property. Inspectors swarmed his buildings, slapping him with $10,000 in fines and repair orders. For the knockout, Talia staged a tenant protest outside his office on April 25, 2025. She rallied 5 neighbors, all fed up, with signs, "Victor Morales, slumlord." She tipped off a local news blog, and a reporter snapped pics as Victor stormed out, yelling, "This is harassment." The story went viral, #Morales slumlord trended, and his phone rang with cancellations. He caved, fixing her AC and sink within days, then dropped her rent back to $1,200 to keep the peace. Talia stayed, cool and victorious, while Victor's empire shrank, one bad review at a time. Talia turned the heat on Victor literally and figuratively. Those reviews were a slow poison, and the protest? Absolute fire. He thought he could bully her, but she brought a whole army. The news story was the cherry on top. #Morales slumlord is iconic. Landlords like him deserve every bit of this chaos. Talia is a hero for tenants everywhere. Slay, queen. Story 10, The Classmates' Comeuppance. Zoe Kim, 22, was a senior at UCLA, majoring in film studies with dreams of directing. She'd poured her heart into a short film, Echoes, for her capstone project, a 15-minute drama about grief, shot on a shoestring budget with friends as crew. Her classmate, Bryce Tanner, 23, was a trust fund kid coasting through the program, more interested in parties than craft. They'd been paired for a group critique in February 2025, and Zoe shared Echoes with him, trusting his feedback. Bryce yawned through it, muttering, "It's fine," then spent the session hyping his own half-baked action flick. A week later, Zoe's professor, Dr. Lang, called her in, furious. "Zoe, explain this." He showed her Bryce's capstone submission, a film called Whispers, a near-identical rip-off of Echoes, same plot, same shots, even her signature slow zoom style. Bryce had swapped her actors for his richer buddies and added a cheesy score, but the theft was blatant. He'd submitted it early, claiming Zoe copied him. Dr. Lang gave her a C, docking her for lack of originality, while Bryce strutted away with an A and a festival slot. Zoe's friends raged, but Bryce smirked at her in the hall. "Guess I'm just better, huh?" Zoe wouldn't let it stand. Bryce's ego was his kryptonite. He craved Hollywood cred, name-dropping industry contacts he didn't have. She'd expose him. She'd kept every draft of Echoes scripts, storyboards, even iPhone clips of her directing. Bryce, sloppy as ever, had bragged about Whispers on a Discord server they shared, saying, "Took me a weekend, genius is effortless." Zoe screenshot it, along with his old posts mocking her artsy crap. She also found his festival entry form, where he'd lied about original work, a breach of UCLA's honor code. On April 30, 2025, Bryce's film screened at the UCLA Film Fest, a packed event with scouts in the crowd. Zoe used a fake Gmail Uclatruth 2025 and emailed Dr. Lang, the festival chair, and Bryce's contacts a dossier, her drafts dated months before his, Discord proof he'd rushed it, and a side-by-side video of both films, narrated calmly, "Bryce Tanner stole my work. Here's how." She hit send as the credits rolled. Bryce took the stage, basking in applause, when Dr. Lang stood, face grim. "We need to talk, Bryce." The room buzzed as the dossier spread, phones lit up, scouts whispered. Bryce's jaw dropped as Dr. Lang pulled him aside, then announced, "Due to an honor code violation, Whispers is disqualified." Zoe's C was bumped to an A, and Echoes got a last-minute screening the next night, earning her a standing ovation and a mentorship offer from a producer. Bryce's festival dreams died, his contacts ghosted him, and he slunk out of UCLA, a plagiarist with no credits. Zoe's revenge was a director's cut of justice. That dossier drop mid-festival? Oscar-worthy timing. Bryce thought he could steal her spotlight, but she turned his premiere into his exit scene. The Discord brags were his undoing. Dude handed her the script to his downfall. Echoes getting its moment was the perfect ending. Zoe's a star, and Bryce is a footnote. Epic.